Welcome to the Clinical Cookout. Hey now, it's your Auntie Ashley.
What's up? It's your girl, Auntie Shug.
Hey, it's your girl, Auntie Quiche.
Hey y'all, it's Auntie Amber.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. We are qualified clinicians who will cover various topics on mental health and will sometimes provide community resources. We are not being paid by any organization for our content, and any information we provide is general and pertains to our own personal experiences. We do not provide psychotherapy, diagnoses, or treatment recommendations on air. Any concerns related to your individual mental health should be directed to your medical and mental health professionals. We are not responsible for others' decisions or the subsequent consequences.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Clinical Cookout. Today we are talking about a really not necessarily controversial, but a topic where people have different thoughts about it. So how do you feel about wearing bonnets in public? Whether you care about yourself wearing bonnets or whether you can't stand to see other people wearing bonnets. How do you feel about that? Let's get into it. Aunties, what do y'all think?
This conversation has been happening for a while, so this ain't new, but still gets talked about.
I know what Monique pissed everybody off talking about you need to present yourself properly in public. So I'm on the fence about it, okay? I'm on the fence because I'm always in the thought process of you never know who you're going to see and you never know who you're going to meet and you never know when there's an opportunity. However, when she gets on an airplane, I'll be wearing my scarf. I'll be wearing my bonnet. I'm dressed the whole part. Now, pajamas, no, I'm not doing all of that. But I am trying to protect my hair. Shoot, it's a part of protective style. And Black women, we have more problems with our hair. So for me, it keeps my hair from being dry, keeps my hair from standing up all over the place. We don't have the luxury of going from one city and going to go get our hair done in the next city. So if I'm trying to protect my hairstyle, I'm going to wear my bonnet. I ain't there yet to where I don't have to do stuff like that. I don't have a crew waiting by to fix my hair.
I'm 100% wear your bonnet. I just wore my bonnet to the store the other day. I am 100% put your bonnet on if that's what you feel comfortable doing. And I do not like the stigma placed on it because it shows that we still live in a society that judges you based off of things like that instead of off of character and trying to get to know who you are. They think they know who you are based off of that. Like Auntie Shug, fully understand the concept of you never know who you're going to run into. But for me, it's like if I run into you and you judge me immediately off this bonnet, do I really want to know you? Do I really want to deal with you? Because we on two different levels if that's the case. So I'm going to wear my bonnet for the same reasons I should have said. Protective styling. Maybe I don't feel like doing my hair. On the way to get my hair done, there's been plenty of days where I done took some braids out and know I got to go to the shop. And I'm like, I done took these braids out. Ain't nothing I can do but throw this bonnet on before I get to the shop. I'm just going to wear my bonnet. I think it's something that does not need to have as much emphasis placed on it as people do. It does not have anything to do with who a person is.
The way the bonnet conversation grips my ass.
Ew.
It is one of the worst conversations that Black people have ever made up. Seriously. One of the worst conversations. First and foremost, because it does. Whole ass.
The whole thing.
Muscle clenched. All of it. All of it. I literally have a visceral reaction when somebody brings up a bonnet and a Black woman wearing it in public for a few reasons. Number one, let me be clear. I don't wear my bonnet in public. I just don't. But today, my mom was making me mad because I had to take her to church and I didn't put my wig on. I literally walked out of the house with no wig on. And I was like, oh well, I'm going to put this bonnet on. But usually I don't wear it out because I just don't. But that does not give me the right to disrespect someone else because that's what they choose to do. It just doesn't. There's so many systemic issues that tie into bonnet wearing. Clearly, people don't understand respectability politics. That is something that has a chokehold on our community.
But I
Number
want you to
two,
go into it though, like, because I need to know this.
respectability politics is nothing but for the white gays. Who are we trying to impress? I'm not trying to impress anybody. Now, granted, just because I don't go out with my bonnet on does not mean like, like I don't know. It's just a constant conversation of around who we need to impress. I do get the whole you never know who you run into. Understandable, because there's been some fine dudes been out, and I'll be like, damn, my hair look a mess.
I
But
was talking about for jobs.
I mean, you're right. I'm just saying. But
Either way,
different people have different reasons. But the main reason why I get mad about that conversation is because white women go out in the daytime and do something called day drinking. They have no care in the world. They will get drunk and be walking down the street, tripping over bushes, tripping over sidewalks, and every one of us around here will apply that and be like, oh, they having a good day. They're having a good time. But God forbid a black woman walk out with a bonnet on, and now all of a sudden the world needs to stop. Quit playing with me. Quit playing with me. See, I'm
Well,
working on my cousin.
I have
I'm
mixed
working on
feelings about it. I have mixed feelings about it because I was taught growing up that mostly by my auntie, and auntie, if you watch it, you know who you are. That you don't walk out the house unless you dress. You don't walk out in bonnets. You don't walk out in pajama pants, oversized t-shirts, nothing like that. You get dressed, you look nice because, like you said, you never know who you're gonna meet when you're out. So for me, I still will wear my bonnet, like if I'm just running to Walmart or something. Like if I'm going any further than 10 minutes down the road to Walmart, I won't wear it. Like I'll actually do something to my hair. But while I'm wearing it, like if I have on my pajama pants and Crocs, the whole time that I'm out, I have that voice in my head like, you look trifling. You need to go back home and put on some pants. You don't need to be out like this, because that's what I heard. I always heard my auntie telling me, get dressed, get dressed, get dressed. But I'll still do it every now and then if I'm not going anywhere too far.
I feel your auntie. Not necessarily for me a bonnet, but I will like wear my scarf or something like that. Like I said, if I'm trying to preserve it. But I think I do understand the whole present yourself. Present yourself, basically. Like I don't know, like when people like kind of bring up the ladies in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, like how they would never. And you know what I mean? Like the culture has changed so much to where it's almost looking raggedy because we have just laid our standards to the side. So I kind of do think about that. Like whenever I look back, I'm like, dang, they was fly. They was like to be taken seriously. They were trying to be taken seriously. So they acted the part. And then I wonder, like, do we do that? Are we missing out on that? Like, are we doing the whole culture a disservice?
now see, that's where we can get into some historical aspects of this, and we can take it back. We have to think that our community at that time, if we go back to early 1900s, end of the 1800s, we are coming out of slavery. We are coming out of a situation where we weren't allowed to look a certain way, be a certain way, where women had to wear scarves over their head because they were made to. They weren't allowed to show their hair, Black women. So we're coming out of that, and you have some Black people who were already free because every Black person wasn't a slave. And those Black people knew, I need to present myself a certain way. I have to show up a certain way to be taken seriously in this society. Although they oftentimes still weren't taken seriously, it didn't matter. Like we've learned by now that the image we present does not matter. We will still be seen a certain way by certain people. Period. Whether in a bonnet or a bow tie, you can get you can get slaughtered on the street whether you in a bonnet or a bow tie, and that's just how I view it. But and Elijah gets mad at this too. He's like, what happened to that? What happened to men and women walking down the streets in suits and dresses and just fly all the time? Well, what happened was things did get relaxed. And also, ain't nobody trying to do that all the time. Are you really trying to do that all the time? You really want to be that dressed up all the time? That is not comfortable.
Well, this is the thing. For me, I would do it. I would get dressed up like that every day if I ain't have kids.
I was about to say, now, Amber, you the king, the queen of
If I ain't have kids, I would get fly every day, no problem. So I know that takes us right into our main dish for today is mom regret and mom guilt. But seriously, there are those times where it's like getting dressed, doing my hair, all of that is so hard to do when you got kids here and you got to get them dressed too.
That's
So
true.
instead, I'm popping my bonnet on, y'all getting dressed, and we're going to Walmart. I can say though, my kids are always dressed. They always get dressed. They do.
What does that look like? Your kids out here dressed and you looking like a fool.
And look, they are a reflection of me. If I can't get myself dressed in time, they dressed. So they know
Is it
at least
not
I ain't that
embarrassing to the
trifling.
kids?
No, I don't think so.
You know what? Good question, Auntie Shug. It's not, because like I wear my bonnet out. It's not, at least not my children. Now, I remember back in the day, yeah, people used to get embarrassed when their mama or grandmama would come up to the high school in a
I was
robe,
embarrassed as hell. Now, and
in a robe and all of that stuff.
I don't
But
do
no,
that.
Zeph, like me and Zeph bonnet is huge because she got a lot of hair. Anybody who knows Zeph know her fro is big. She got a big extra large bonnet. Girl, that girl will get in the car with me and her bonnet in a minute. Because that's just, she knows for me, what you have on is not indicative of who you are. And that's my whole thing. Don't ever let somebody feel like you have to look a certain way or talk a certain way or be a certain way in order to be accepted. That's my whole thing. But I mean, it doesn't bother me. But I will say, mental health wise, getting dressed up does make you feel better. I will say that. If you in a low,
It does.
you throw a nice fit on and you know you look nice, it can change how you feel that day. So
I
sometimes
I
get dressed.
I agree with that, but I also agree with the other side that we don't know what people go through. So if they want to get out of their house and wear their bonnet and that was the best they could do that day, who am I to judge that, or who am I to make an assumption? Like, that's not none of my business. I don't know what that person is going through, and I think that's what made me mad about what, Auntie Monique was saying. Like, oh, we have to be presentable. How do I know what this woman is going through? What if she just lost somebody? What if she just, had a hard day at work? Like, and let's not act like black hair or our hair is the easiest to maintain. Let's not act like it is, because we all got different types of hair. And there are some days where I cannot do my hair like how I want to because it's going to take 2 to 3 hours. I don't have that time. What if I just slap a wig on and keep moving? It's no different than a bonnet to me. I just have to put a wig and keep going. But I just feel like we cannot dictate what people are going through in their lives and how they want to go about it. And so if, somebody has depression or feeling a certain type of way, let me mind my business. Hell, we all too goddamn strings from losing it. Literally.
So with that in mind, Auntie Amber already kind of said it. If I didn't have kids, I would have time to do certain things and get dressed up more often. I would do it more often. So that takes us into our main dish about mom guilt and the shame that comes along with that, and just the whole plethora of topics that we want to talk about with y'all in regards to mom guilt today.
All right, everybody. So we are in our main dish, mom guilt. A lot of people requested this. Actually, I just had somebody talking about mom guilt 2 days ago, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was going to put it in the chat, but we had already planned on talking about it because I was asking a friend, are you going to come with us on this trip? And she has the biggest case of mom guilt that I've ever seen, to where she's like, I can't do this because I feel like if I'm away from my kids that, I'm not doing my job. I don't want to leave them with their dad because leaving them with their dad means that I'm not being a good mom. And mom guilt is a pretty serious thing. So some women just not being able to be away from their kids have depression because now you're stuck with somebody all the time, have remorse, guilt, just and even sometimes what is it, like resentment, just because it's kind of like I really wanted you, I want you to be here, I want to have you, but I can't bear to be away from you. And so it's mom guilt is a big thing, it's a real thing. And I mean, I've had it. I've not I haven't had guilt to where I wish I didn't have my kids, but I've had panic attacks from not being around them. Physical, I can't breathe, my chest is tightening up, the room is going dark, just from being away from my kids.
I would say the biggest thing I've seen, and it's actually come up on social media quite a bit, are women kind of trying to open up and say, you know, I regret this, or I really wouldn't have had kids if I could go back. And it's a double-sided thing with that, because one, we live in an age now where your kids are eventually going to see that. So a lot of times people are like, why would you put that out there? Your kids are going to see that and they're going to know that you regret them. On the flip side, it's like, well, what space does a mother have that's safe enough to say something like that and not be judged? Um, so I'm a proponent of, we need to create the spaces to where women can say that and not be judged, while also protecting children, because they don't actually need to hear their mothers say that. It's not that they shouldn't be allowed to feel it. It's just the children don't need to hear it. I have had severe mom guilt literally since I became a mom. Even to this day, it's days where I'm like, I suck as a mom today. Like, I just suck as a mom. Dinner was late. This wasn't done. I didn't help with this. I didn't do this. And it can be very, very overwhelming, and it can cause you to really fall into a depressed state. Like, I have moments where I am just in very low moods because I don't feel like I measure up to other mothers. So that's my struggle, to see other mothers doing that job, or even to think about my own mother. And my mom was a single mom and did it, and she did it well. But I don't know what she went through. Like, I think back, did my mom have nights where she cried and felt like she wasn't a good enough mom? Because I do.
I think there's like, I don't know if I'm going to explain this correctly, but when moms feel like that, there's like this kind of like, it's dissonance, I guess would be the best way to explain it, where like you had your kids, let's say at a young age or whatever, and you have grown to love your kids. Like, you absolutely adore your kids. You love them as people. You're proud of yourself for how you have raised them. But the thought of like, if I could go back, I wouldn't have had them. It doesn't have a lot to do with who your kids are. And then like being here, it's more of like everything you had to go through with having these extra people right hooked on your hip. That's the part that you regret, but not necessarily the people that are there. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that when moms say it, it's automatically like, oh, you don't want your kids? Like, that's messed up. Like, that's the automatic judgment, when it's really like there's a lot that goes into raising kids. First of all, if you're not prepared for it, which you can't ever be fully prepared. But if it was a surprise and you just weren't ready or you weren't prepared, it makes it just that much more difficult to go through the process. So I think it's the process that we're having the guilt about or regretting, versus our actual children who are here, whom we love and adore, and want to continue to help them grow.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the controversial take. I want moms to say it more. I want moms to be open about it more. And the reason why is because a lot of times, now I do not have children, but a lot of times I feel like moms are told you can't say these things, and it sets up other women to get some type of false fantasy of motherhood. And a lot of women, I ain't gonna say all, but I would say a lot of women that I've talked to has always said, when I don't have children, they're like, wait to have children, or don't have them. Now, I understand that some of that could be projection. I
Yeah.
get that. Some of them that could be projection based off of what they've been through. But I also feel like if we were to have more open, honest conversations about motherhood, I don't believe a lot of women would have kids. Nobody talks to you about you about to be bleeding. Nobody talks to you about postpartum. Nobody talks to you about you literally are responsible for something for the rest of your life. I don't care if your child turns 18 or not. You are still responsible for this person, regardless. And I think people don't I think people don't think about motherhood as what is it? As a lifelong responsibility, but just more something that you have to do out of societal expectations. I think that there's some disconnect as to what motherhood really is versus I think I think Auntie Amber's right. The process. People are not prepared for that process. And a lot of moms, especially ones I see on TikTok, talk about it. And they talk about how that even if they're in marriages, they're still responsible for that child. They are, not the husband, not whoever else. They're responsible for it. So for me, I want moms to be honest. Not in the, not now, now, okay, not in a way of disrespecting children or hurting your child, because there's a difference. And children can internalize those negative messages. I'm talking in a way of educating other women who may be thinking about having children, or just be honest about the process. Listen, somebody said they split from the rooter to the tutor, and I was like, you know what? I
I
don't.
told you that.
Nah, no. So,
Oh,
somebody I used to work with,
oh, okay.
they you too, but somebody I previously worked with said that that happened to them, and I said, now how, why would I ever want to put my like, no, I mean, I understand you heal, but oh my god, like that is like, is that not traumatizing to y'all? I heard like y'all poop on the table. Oh my god, the process.
And shut up, Keish. It does not traumatize you for 15 years. Like, it's not like, because I remember when I was in the ninth grade, they showed this video, and you like literally, my teacher name was Miss Faso. She showed this video where you literally saw the mom give birth. And I said,
Hmm.
that's something I'm never gonna do. Something I'm never gonna do.
Yep.
But everybody doesn't feel like they don't have
Mhm.
that maternal clock. The reason why I don't have mom guilt is because I'll get the guilt from being away and stuff like that, but the reason why I just haven't had the thought of like, if I didn't have these kids this, or if I didn't have these kids that. Now I don't want more, but I already have 5. So when I was having my first baby, I wanted the baby. I didn't think like, oh God, it's gonna be so hard. I'm gonna split open. Like I was like, I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to have this. So I was ready. And then I lost my first baby. Like I literally had to go deliver a stillborn. And then I lost
Mhm.
my second baby. And so I had to go deliver my second stillborn. And so I would have never fixed my mouth for my third baby to say this ain't a baby I want. I was ready, open, and like I actually said, God, if I have to get pregnant and don't have this baby, don't even get me pregnant. So like I was so ready and willing to be a mother and be the all that I could be, that I think I would feel guilty if I felt that way. And so like
Yeah.
for me, like I enjoy it because I know how quick it can slip through your fingers. You can have all these hopes and dreams, and this is not to shame anybody. This is Auntie Shook. You can have all these hopes and dreams, and at any minute, boom, those hopes and dreams can be crashing down, and your reality could be raggedy. And I think that that's why I maybe not have had that. But I mean, I won't say that they don't make things harder. I would just say every single day, like I'm so grateful when I try to act it out every single day. But I understand the whole day. I can't do what I want to do, because one thing I do say is, if listen, if I had these kids, if I was one of those women that didn't have kids and I was in this doctorate program, do you know how far along I'd be? But I could do it with them. So that's where I've been at with that.
Yeah. Well,
I think
even
there's,
oh, go ahead.
nope. I was just going to say, I think there's a sense of maturity that has to go along with having children, to me. To me.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that if you're in that mindset of wanting to have children, there has to be a healthy and mature, I guess, foundation there. Like people just having a kid, having kids running amok, just putting humans on this earth without considering them, like their development and stuff. I think that's just irresponsible. Like, but if you in a mature, healthy understanding, and even as things go, I think you still need to be mature and healthy, or at least striving to be that way, to put other humans on this earth. To me, to me, it's a big deal to have a kid. A big deal.
Yes.
It's a very big deal. Auntie Keisha, I'm one of the women, like you said, where you talk to certain moms and they'll ask you about kids and they'll just be
Mhm.
like, wait, or don't have any.
Mhm.
I'm one of those, because the thing is, my I think we get a skewed image of what motherhood is because people don't talk openly about it. Moms and women don't talk openly about it. And I also think that we get this message that that's supposed to be our purpose. And I don't like that. Being
Yeah.
a mother is not
Mhm.
the purpose of being a woman. And I do not like that at all, because then what if you are a woman who can't have children? Now what? Now you feel like I can't do what my body was created to do, and you feel less of a woman. Um, So that's why it bothers me so much that we don't have these kind of conversations. And then from Auntie Phil's perspective, that's the other side of it. Women who struggle to have babies or who've lost babies, they can envision feeling this because this is something I wanted and couldn't have or struggled to have.
Mm-hmm.
But for women who don't go through that, we don't understand that side of it. Like I got pregnant with my first child. She was a surprise. It was my last year of college and I was not ready to have a baby. And I knew I wasn't. But a part of me was like, if it happened, then I must be ready. I can't, like, I did what I did. I must be ready. It is what it is. And it just so happened she was a blessing because we lost my grandmother that same year she was born. So I kind of look back at it like that, but that doesn't take away the fact that I felt like I was totally unprepared to be a mom, even though I had all the support and was with her father. Me and her father are married now. So it's so much that I think women don't realize. And I think especially teenage girls, they think having a baby is easy. I've heard teenage girls say, being a mom is not that hard. I would love to be a mom. I'm like, girl, okay, maybe somebody has not been honest with you about everything that can occur, both physically and mentally.
Not even honesty, but some people don't take it, like Keisha said, seriously. So I take it seriously. I watch Auntie Amber take it seriously. I watch you take it seriously. Like I watch her worry about her kids' social emotional development. And like, you know what I mean, what's going to be like in their heads. I don't think that everybody is doing that. I think that whenever they say you be honest, it depends on who's being honest, because everybody's truth is not the one you want to hear either. So if you just say, well, don't have kids. Why? Because your reality is not mine. And so if you say don't have kids, it could be because you want to go out and go club and you can't do whatever you want to go do because you got to come home to these kids. Because a lot of people, and I won't say a lot of people, I won't throw numbers out there, but some people who have waited and they was like, I don't have kids. They're 28, 29, 30, 32. And I've seen some people that have accomplished nothing or minimal. And so I'm like, so why not? And I know I've accomplished a lot with 5 kids. So I don't take everybody's reality and make it my own.
Yeah, and I I had a comment to make about something that you said earlier, and about feeling like saying you would feel guilty if you had those certain thoughts. And a lot of women do feel guilty for having those thoughts.
Yeah.
And so, like Auntie Keish was saying, if you say it more, you kind of release it, right? And if you're not judged for it, if you say it in a space where you feel safe and you're not judged for it, then you release it. Then you have women who hold it in and they just keep it in. They can't say it because they think people are going to judge them. And y'all know I'm always going to bring it back to the kids, right? So you have a mom who's holding in all these feelings like, oh, if I didn't have kids, this would be easier. Why did I have kids at this age? Oh my God. I don't know what they're doing back there.
Somebody died. It's a UFC fight.
Oh my God. But yeah. Hey, y'all.
Hey, there she go again.
Oh my God. Okay,
I hope you keep this. I hope you keep this in here because this like just goes along with everything that we're talking about.
Anyways, yes, if I didn't have kids right now, I wouldn't be screaming or worried about background noise. But anyways, so you have women that hold that in, and then you treat your kids a certain way because you're holding it in, because you become depressed about it, or because you become angry, or you resent your kids for not being able to take trips out of the country every summer like you want to because you don't have enough money for your kids to go with you. My personal experience, by the way. So it is really, it's difficult because it becomes a cycle too. The mom treats a kid a certain way. This kid develops maladaptive ways of dealing with anybody that's disciplining them. And then they start being smart, right? And they start acting out. And then it's a cycle. The mom's pissed, the kid's pissed, and it's just a cycle. And it keeps going, right? And it gets worse. So all of that could be prevented if the mom does have a space to talk about those feelings and to process it.
Some of those feelings don't necessarily come from the kids don't come from you having mom guilt either. Some of those experiences come from the way you feel about your partner.
Or come on, somebody. I was just going to play that.
you going through. And so that's why you get some people that's like, you made them kids. Because no matter how much resentment that you have, no matter how much guilt you have, you still have a responsibility. And even if you didn't go through, even if you chose a partner to have your kids with, um, that's where people come from with that space too. And so some of that stuff is not on the kids or on you being wanting to accomplish things. Some of it is the way you chose. I'm just gonna say it.
You know what? Now, the way you chose, I feel like a lot of us who I'm gonna just say ended up blessed because at the end of the day, you don't. Most people don't go
I
out
watch that.
choosing. Most people don't go out choosing ragamuffins. They choose somebody, and this is their representative that they are seeing. We've talked about that.
Lies.
You showing me the best of you.
Lies.
So anybody can show you something different down the road, get out of that honeymoon phase, and it changes. So I'm not gonna, because that's another thing that ends up putting shame and guilt on the woman. That always happens. It's how you chose. It's how you chose. Yes, that's part of it. Take accountability for how you chose, but also recognize that people change. And I'm not even talking about like super bad changes, but people change. The person I married 13 years ago is not the person I'm with today. He's just not. So there are things that are the same about him that I can look back and say, I knew this from jump. I can't even get mad. I knew this from jump. But there are other things like, I'm like, sir, you are a totally different person right now. And it's okay because people change. So I don't want us to say, let's allow women and moms to open up about these things and then shame them on another front. You chose that man. Yes, you did. But that man could have fed you a bed of lies. We don't know. We don't know.
That's
Not
true.
everybody is made
That
perfectly aware that this is not
that's true.
a choice.
That's true. I do want to add sometimes women will have children because they have not received the love that they should have received and continue to make children because they're trying to fill a hole in a wound. That's where I draw the line. And
Yeah.
that's what I talk about when it comes to being serious. Stop putting kids on this earth because you didn't address your wounds, because you wanted a fairy tale. You can't play with nobody's life like that, especially a kid's. Now we all in business because your ass chose not to do what you were supposed to do, and now we got to treat your kid because you didn't take the time out to get healthy yourself. Okay, maybe the first child, you were going to marry this person or something happened, could have been a death of a spouse, we don't know. But if you having 3, 4, 5 kids, and I've heard women say this is the greatest love I've ever felt, ma'am, do not replace your kid for a wound that you never healed. That is all I'm saying. Don't play with kids' lives like that. Don't put that responsibility on your kid to love you unconditionally because you chose to put conditions on yourself to be loved.
Ooh.
Now, I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about people who know damn well that that person that they chose was not who they should have been having a kid with. And that's okay because it does happen. Some people
Yeah,
do consciously make the choice to lay with an F boy, knowing he doesn't take care of all his other kids. He's not going to take care of your kid. He's not going to take care of you. He's not a good father to everybody else. And they do. Sometimes the way that you choose it, if everybody's taking accountability, we taking accountability. And if
That,
you knew
yeah,
better, then you do better.
that's different. If you have seen him be not a father to his other children, or he got all of those type of situations you just described, that is different. That's a yes. You should be held to some accountability for that choice. But what if you're his first baby mama? You didn't see any of that. He had to become that first. So if you were the first baby mama, you didn't know. You thought you liked him, you loved him, you thought this was a nice guy, that he would be a great dad, and you found out later he won't.
Anybody can get
yeah,
tricked. Anybody can
Anybody
get
can
yeah,
tricked.
get tricked.
yeah,
Also,
yeah.
other people make conscious choices. That's my
Some
point.
people make conscious choices. Yes. It's
My point is that I, I just don't want children to be used as a substitute for love.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I want to say. And I've heard women say that. And I'm just like, oh, like this is that's while I understand you may have a lot going on, but using your child as a substitute for love is a really, really, I feel like that's a very what is it? Risky. There we go. That's a risky thing to do.
What
yeah,
is
Very
risky?
risky.
Oh,
it's
Huh?
risky. thought you
Risky.
said whiskey, like whiskey, drinking whiskey. I'm like, what?
No,
Wait, what? You pregnant when you did that? No,
no, I would risky.
Said
It's a
no, Amber.
risky thing.
it
It's
is
a
risky.
risky thing to do, y'all. It's just risky. That doesn't mean I'm trying to shame you or I'm trying not to do that. Obviously I've not maybe not be using my words correctly. And I want the audience to know that this is not to guilt you. It's just using your children as a way to fill a wound is risky.
Very
It's
much
just a risky behavior. And so we understand there might be a lot of guilt, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about the hardships of motherhood and how you can heal so you're not getting pregnant again and trying to fill a void by, getting another child. Let's talk about you. Let's heal
And
you.
that was an
yeah, and just to
emoji.
piggyback off of that, I'm going to bring up boundaries because when you have a parent who's trying to fill a void with their children, the boundaries get really like thin and kind of enmeshed, right?
Yeah,
So you are leaning on your child for emotional support, and your child feels like they have to support you emotionally, and
mhm,
then they start relating to other people in that way, and that is not healthy.
correct.
Those are the children that grow up to be adults who get taken advantage of, who get exploited, and don't recognize that that's happening to them because their parent treated them that way. So learning what healthy boundaries are and
Mhm,
keeping it pretty rigid, right? Like, I am the parent, you are the child. I am here to help you grow, to teach you how to become an emotionally healthy person,
right.
adult. It's not
Yep.
your job to teach me how to do that. I
Mhm.
need to get
Yes.
social support myself to learn how to do that, whether that be through friends, your partner, your parents, whoever, your therapist. That's your
Right.
social support system. As a parent, you lean into them and then you pour that into your children and teach them how to manage things in that way.
Yep. I saw a tweet today that says parent-child relationships are not transactional. And I know I've said before that all relationships are transactional. That's an exemption. Parent-child relationship are not transactional. You are the parent and that's it. And they're the child. They shouldn't be expected to give you something.
They don't owe
That's not
you.
how that works.
Your
That's not how
child
that works.
doesn't owe you. That is
But
something.
you still, oh, I'm sorry. Can I just real quick? You
Yeah.
still do get something out of
Yeah.
the relationship with your children. I'm just saying not to rely solely on them to
Right.
fill the void, right? They do give you
Yep.
love and it might fill it up a little bit. It might fill you up a little bit. Like, it feels good to have these people who are just little learning and
Yeah.
they love you to death no matter what you do, right? But you don't want to lean completely on them for that type of love. You get that from
See,
other places too.
Auntie Amber says it right. She clarified it for me. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of your children don't owe you anything. It hurts me when I see parents say, I put a roof over your head. I put clothes on your back. I did this. I did that, as if to say you owe me for that. And it's like, that was your responsibility and job as a parent. I don't owe you for what you were supposed to do. I love you and I'll be there for you. And hopefully when your kids grow up, they will reciprocate because people it's transitional. I mean, it's developmental. You raise your kids, then your kids become good human beings and adults. And as you get older and you need help, those kids will come back to help you. They'll be there. So that's what you ultimately hope for. But the idea of being using children to fill a void, that's problematic because it's never what happens when they're gone. At some point they're going to grow up. They're not going to be babies anymore because that's just life. So you have to have some form of healing for yourself.
Well,
Um,
I think that goes into like with the guilt too. Like I talked about my friend at the beginning who, can barely even take a trip because it's like, oh my gosh, who's gonna have my kids? So
mhm.
what I always tell her is you gotta get healthy within yourself to where you're able to leave them, able to go on a trip, you're able to be around your friends, you're able to talk to other adults without having to be the caretaker of somebody because it keeps you healthy. Um, just Auntie Amber came to come see me, and her husband, I'm sorry, I gotta brag on him real quick. You don't even know he said this, but he was just like, I just thank you for giving her a good time because she doesn't get time away from the kids. So that was her time to come out there and cut up and just be free. Everybody need that.
Don't
Don't
be
just I'm
trying to give him no brownie points right now. No.
not he
Amber,
that's what he
no,
said.
Amber sound like me. I hate when you be giving Elijah brownie points. Shut up.
That's what he said. And like, just we
He's
need
right.
that. We need that. And like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? That keeps you from having such big mom guilt. Some people guilt moms on purpose, but I just decided like I do have a hard time leaving and being away. I just went away for 2 days. And like when I came back, I did feel refreshed. So you need that refreshing, especially if you have help. I don't have a lot of help. My husband is my help. Everything we do, we got to do it with dish. It's us. It's us against everybody. And so just to get away for 2 days and to go party, dance, shake, drink, do whatever I wanted to do, that stuff was refreshing. And it helps me not have mom guilt, I think. And it helps me just keep me wanting to be the best mom that I could be when I'm with them because I get time
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you got to take care of you. You can't pour into your kids if you're not being poured into. You have to be taking care of you.
Mhm. You have to water your relationship too because them kids going to grow up. And guess what? They're going to go find their own relationship and they're going to want you to go get you some business. So you're going to have to keep your business together too. I swear they do. They're going to grow up. Think about when we grew up. We was like, all right, I got me a man. Leave me alone, Ma. Go find, I'll
Yeah.
be glad if you find something to do. We did it. It's going to happen. You can't put all your eggs in that bag. I wouldn't put, it's not even healthy. It's enmeshment. Enmeshment is when the relationship is too close and it's not healthy. The boundaries are skewed between family members. So to keep that down, you got to get you some business and make them your first priority, but still have you your business on the side.
Mhm.
yeah. But understand that mom guilt is real, and it for various different reasons. It's not one solid reason to have that women have mom guilt. It could be because you are comparing yourself to other mothers. That's a big one.
Mm.
You see other mothers doing XYZ, or you see all the beautiful Instagram mom posts, and it's like, I'm not that kind of mom. I don't know how to be that kind of mom. And you don't have to be. You don't have to feel guilty because you don't meet some standard that you only see on social media.
But
Because
yeah,
guaranteed that's probably not all the time, and that's not reality all the time.
Yep.
There are going to be down times. There are going to be hard times. Um, then you have mom guilt just because working moms have a lot of guilt. I want to stay home with my kids, but I can't. I have to work.
yeah.
It's a lot of different areas where that mom guilt comes into play. Single moms, I wish I was raising my child in a two-parent home. It's so much on women, and it's like none of us are wrong. None of it is wrong, but you need to get whatever support and help you can get. And society needs to stop making it seem like it's wrong for you to feel whatever you feel. It's not.
You know what gets on my nerves about society? If you don't feel the way that they want you to feel, then they're upset. So when somebody's like, you never have mom guilt, like if I didn't say if I don't say like, man, I resent these kids, it doesn't mean like that I'm wrong for having those thoughts. Just as well as it doesn't mean that you're wrong for having those thoughts. Like for having the thoughts of maybe sometimes I do have resentment. I think we need to let people be themselves in that space because comparison is the thief of joy. And so if you always comparing yourself to somebody else, you're not really living. I don't compare myself to nobody else. I'm like, I march to the beat of my own drum. I always have.
Mhm.
So if you start doing that, even being a mom, you'll feel a lot better.
Yep. Run your own race. Run your own race. Okay, so that kind of concludes our episode of Mom Guilt. So let's go into our foil.
Okay, so my takeaway for everyone, well, for moms, any mom who is dealing with mom guilt, having at least one person that you can talk to, just one person that you can open up to about this. Or even getting a group of moms together and just saying we're going to be open and honest about our experiences and just share that together, because groups bring about universality, so you feel like you're not alone. So if you can do this in a group of moms, that will be great. um, that's my takeaway. I just think women need the space to be able to talk about it, and not on social media, because social media is Once you put what you put out there, you get too much feedback back. And that's only going to make you feel worse most of the time. You may get the few people who feel how you feel and can agree with you. But with something like this, most people are not going to say it publicly because of the shame that comes along with it, because of the judgment. So I would highly suggest not putting this on social media anymore. Also, your kids can see it later. Get together in actual groups of people, whether virtually or in person, groups of other women, other moms, and have these kind of discussions.
I was gonna say engage your parasympathetic nervous system daily. I'm so for real with that because being a mother is stressful. Those kids try you every day. If you could hear the threats that I have to make every single day, like I get up and I have to have a ritual. I go outside, I run, I work out. Like I just make sure that I have myself together mentally before I have to deal with all their things throughout the day because it is hard to take care of everybody else except for yourself. And putting yourself to the side is never a good thing, especially for the long term. So, doing things like when I go grocery shopping, that's my time away. But you don't want that to be your only time away. You actually want time to, unless grocery shopping makes you happy, you actually want time to be able to go somewhere and be able to engage those endorphins. Go get your toes done, go get your fingers done, go get your hair done. Take a walk by yourself. Talk on the phone to your friend. Me and my best friend, we're coming back as dads in the next life anyway. So just being able to talk to somebody who gets it and who is like Auntie Ashley said, who is not going to judge you, and you could and they're going to lift you up because at the same time, when after you vent and after you get it all out, you still got to go back to those kids. So you want to make sure that you're emotionally regulated before you go in to go deal with your children.
I'm going to go with being transparent. You can do that in whatever form you want to with whoever you want to, but I highly encourage being transparent because I believe that's the only way, or well, one of the ways you can start addressing some of the wounds that are being filled with other things. And transparency is something like myself, because I have no children, need to hear. I want to know what you really think about motherhood. I want to know what you really think the process is about, because I think that's the first step to being aware of the problem. That's what they say. You got to be aware and transparent about it first in order for us to get to the next level. So if I were to give you any piece of advice, is to be transparent about your feelings. A lot of moms, specifically women, have always had to shut up, be silent, not say nothing. I think this is a moment to be honest, be vocal, be loud about the experiences that you had and why you feeling the way you feel. Be transparent about it. I want to hear it because, child, these lips is gonna be sold up whenever you start talking about your transparency.
Not the lips sewed up. I can't.
Lips sold up.
I hope you're talking about your mouth.
She was not, and
Nope.
she wasn't. Why would she be talking about her mouth?
Both.
Both.
Child.
Both of them.
Yeah, I
Both
just
of 'em.
got it. I got it so late. Oh my God. I'm done.
Okay, I'm mad you was that slow, Auntie Amber.
She said she ain't having no kids.
Sew it up.
Okay. Yeah, so my foil today would be to get you a therapist.
Yeah.
So Auntie Ashley and Auntie Shug talked about having that support system with other moms. But I encourage you to add a therapist to your support system. So you have your friends, you have other moms, you have your parents, you have other people you can talk to. But a lot of these times, they're not really helping you shift your mindset or learn coping skills. It's just kind of like venting, right? So having a therapist is someone who's going to help you shift the way that you're thinking about it or shift your perspective so that you can function better in the future.
All right, y'all. So we will see y'all next time. Thanks so much for joining us here at the Clinical Cookout tonight. We about to get out of here, but what y'all about to do?
Ew.
Was that wrong?
That was fine.
Oh,
That was
okay.
good. I can't talk yet because Makai's screaming.
I thought we
Oh,
were
okay.
giving her time to like put the stuff in there. So in my head, I'd be like, and then I like figure out who's gonna be talking.
What is this? What is that? Because I don't believe Amber has ever done that.
Amber's never done this.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You need help.
We can
Okay,
keep
say
going.
hi. Say hurry up and say hi.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi.
Mercy.
What they doing? Okay, you gotta tell them. Say I gotta go, guys. Say I gotta go.
Hi, Mercy.
Mercy like the camera. She ain't trying to say she gotta go.
Mercy, get me.
She is trying to stay.
She acting like Makai now.
You can stay. No, she can't stay.
She staying.
Don't take me.
No, take her.
She said, "Don't take me. Don't take me."
Bye.
Yeah.
See you later. I'm out.
She's
Bye.
potty trained.
What? Get it, Mercy?
You potty trained, Mercy?
Oh,
Look at her
she's potty
dancing.
trained.
Get it, girl.
You go
Yeah.
period on the
That's so
potty.
exciting.
Girl, she dancing. All right, go on. You gotta go.
Okay, who's introducing this part?
Oh,
I'll
shoot.
introduce it. I guess it's my turn.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
fertilizer.
Bye.
Dad went to Weston. Close the door.
Y'all hear Mercy?
Close the door. Yo, I was like, this is about to go all sideways when I saw that door open and that little head pop through.
Because he's having a tantrum right now. That's
I
why.
thought so. I heard the little whimper and I was like, well,
Where the daddy at? I just begged the daddy at. Where the daddy at?
where did
He was
Daddy-
just sitting here. You didn't see him walk in and
That's
walk
all
back
I
out.
did.
Oh
to go
no, I didn't even see
downstairs
him.
to play football or watch football.
Yeah, he walked in and walked out and didn't take the children. See there?
Really should.
I just gave him some kudos. He embarrassed me.
You
every
did.
time.
Right? See?